The first reason why your VLOOKUP might not be working is a fairly simple one. If you haven't given Excel a value to look up, it's going to give you an NA error. In this VLOOKUP, we're telling Excel to look at the value in cell 2, which is Bob, and return the corresponding postcode, which is 3000. But if we take Bob out and leave cell G2 blank, there's nothing for the VLOOKUP to search for, so we get an NA error message instead. The second reason why your VLOOKUP might not be working is that you've entered what you think is a correct value to look up, but you've got it slightly wrong. In this example, we're trying to look up the name Mario, but we've accidentally typed in the name Marion, which means we've misspelled the name, resulting in an NA error. So if we fix up the spelling of Mario's name, the VLOOKUP will find him in the list and return his postcode. The third reason why you might be getting an error from your VLOOKUP is similar to the last one, and that is if you're trying to look up a non-existent value. If we try to look up the name John, for example, we'll get an NA error because there is no John in the list. A fourth reason why your VLOOKUP might not be working is that the format of the value you're looking up is different to the format of the cells you're looking up. Take this VLOOKUP, where we're looking up the postcode 2000 and returning the state New South Wales. The function works because the format of the postcodes are set to general, and so is the format of cell G5. But if we change the format of cell G5 to a percentage and re-enter the lookup value of 2000, VLOOKUP can no longer find a match and we get an NA error. If we change the format of cell G5 back to general, we can see that Excel converted the 2000 into 20, which is what happens when the percentage format is used. So in a nutshell, VLOOKUP was trying to find a match for the value 20, which of course doesn't exist in our postcode column. So now that we've changed the format back to general, we can re-enter 2000 as our lookup value and our lookup will work perfectly again. One of the main limitations of VLOOKUP is that it can only look right. In the next example, our VLOOKUP is looking up the name Gail, but instead of trying to return a value to the right of her name, such as the postcode or state, it's trying to return the employee ID, which is on the left. Put simply, this is not something VLOOKUP can do, and you'll always get an NA error if you try to do it. The next reason we're going to look at is that you can't have a column index number less than 1. In this example, you can have a column index number of either 1, 2, 3, or 4 because there are 4 columns in the table array. But if you try to have a column index number of say 0 or -1, you'll get a value error. So all you need to do for this error is make sure your column index number is greater than 1. Similarly, if the column index number is greater than the number of columns in the table array, your VLOOKUP won't work. Once again, in this example, you can have a column index number of either 1, 2, 3, or 4 because there are 4 columns in the table array. But if you try to have a column index number of 5 or more, you'll get a ref error. As we've seen, VLOOKUP is pretty touchy when it comes to columns. So another way you can break your VLOOKUPs is by inserting or deleting columns somewhere in your table array area. In this example, we're looking at column 2 and returning the value Olivia for the employee ID 1003. Now, if we insert a column in our table array, it pushes some of the columns to the right, and the newly inserted column becomes the new column 2, according to our VLOOKUP function. As a result, our VLOOKUP is now returning the blank cell next to employee ID 1003 instead of the employee's name. We can check this by typing something into that blank cell, let's say the number 1, and watching as it becomes the result returned by our VLOOKUP function. Likewise, if we delete columns in our table array, we may end up returning values that we don't want. Here you can see that we've returned employee ID 1003's postcode of 2507 because we deleted the name column. So the lesson here is try to make sure you have your columns fully set up and ready to go before creating your VLOOKUPs. The final reason you may not be getting the result you want from your VLOOKUP is because of the range lookup variable, which controls exact or approximate matches. If you type in the word false or the number 0 for your range lookup, you're telling Excel that you want to find an exact match. In our example here, we tell our VLOOKUP to exactly match the value 1003. Our VLOOKUP then finds the first 1003 on the list and returns the corresponding name, which is Olivia. Okay, so there's no employee ID 1007 on the list, so let's look up that value. As you can see, we've returned an error message because we're trying to find an exact match for a value that doesn't exist. If we change the range lookup to an approximate match by typing in the word true or the number 1, we can see that we now have the name Gail as the result. What's happened here is that our VLOOKUP had started at the top of the list and scanned all the employee ID values from top to bottom, and when it failed to find 1007, it selected the next lowest value, which is 1006, and returned the corresponding name of Gail. Now this works because the employee IDs are sorted in ascending order. If I change it so the employee IDs are in descending order, you can see that we now get an error message. So what you need to do is make sure you always have your lookup value list sorted in ascending order if you want to use an approximate match. As you can see, this one takes a bit of getting used to, so be sure to practice before using approximate matches on your spreadsheet. So that's it for this video. You now know 9 of the main reasons why your VLOOKUP functions might be giving you grief. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.